Now, I tell you how long that I've been flying planes, but I certainly don't want to spoil it. Put it this way, I suppose. When I first started out, Pontius was still a co-pilot. Well, I suppose that's a bit of a lie for me now, so I'll tell you the truth if you like. Crossing my heart, not a word of a lie. I once brought a Wright brothers bike. Yeah, I guess that's a bit of a stretch. A whopper, I suppose you would say. 'Cause I first got my wings back in 76. 19, not 18, okay? And now I just hung 'em up after 40-odd years, and I thought that perhaps I would draw you a picture and tell you a story of some of the funnier things that I saw. Like the time I was up in St. Anthony, waiting to do the first trip to Mary's Harbour, Labrador, where just 2 days before they'd opened a brand new airstrip. 'Twas all ponds and harbours up to that time, on floats, wheels, or skis as per season, and as we took off that day there just was no way we could see any problem or a reason why it wouldn't just be a routine trip, see, for us and our full load of people, some mail and freight, a big dog in a crate, and somebody's shiny new grapple. We were stogged pretty tight that inaugural flight, as full as an egg I would guess. Our agents could pretty well stog half a gallon inside a quart jug, more or less. And the plane we were in was not what you're used to, no Boeing or Airbus for sure. A full load for us was 10 people, plus their bags and some freight and no more. And there was no divider between passengers and crew. They could see everything that we did, so it was no good to yawn or start singing a song. They might think we were gone off our head. Now it was a blistery day as we flew along our way, and visibility was down to be true. The co-pilot was Doug. I said, "Listen here, Brud, do you know where that new airstrip's to?" We talked on our headsets so no one could hear us, and Doug said that he didn't know. "Be some cute now," I said, "if we can't find the thing, 'cause I can't see too good in this snow." So we flew on a bit in search of that strip, by this time well past halfway. We were both looking out and scanning about, and Doug said, "That looks like Lodge Bay. We should see it by now. Did we pass it somehow?" And he stared at his map, not too happy. "I don't know where we're to, Dave, boy. What about you? Have we got to go right back to Snantney?" Well, I was just getting ready to do a 180. "We'll never live this one down, Dougie," when the passenger behind me pointed out front and loudly said, "Right there, my buddy." Turned out he was right, and the strip came in sight. From a shaming we both had been sold, so we landed and shut down the engines, and the inaugural flight had a rove. Now, flying the coast in a Twin Otter on floats was always an interesting day. Some of the legs might be 5 or 10 minutes, hopping from Tickle to Bay. A hard day's work it surely could be, with perhaps 20 or 25 stops. Parents might hop on and off here and there with their youngsters and nannies and pops. A hungry bunch, we'd stop for a lunch sometime around noon, if not sooner. Perhaps at Uncle Ben Powell's, where Aunt Effie would feed us enough for the crew on a schooner. Then a nice cup of tea and a bit of a yarn, and then perhaps a bit of a nap. Passengers didn't mind waiting on us. No fuss, no one in a flap. One day an old man and his missus showed up, wanting to go to Goose Bay. They didn't have tickets, said they'd pay cash, and you grandchild was due any day. Well, we weren't really supposed to let them on board. They should have had tickets, 'twas true. And though there just was no way to say no that day, what to charge them we hadn't a clue. The old fellow said 'twas the first time he'd fled, but it cost him $10 on the coil. We said that would be fine. He said, "Best kind." It was worth it to see them both smile. So then old Uncle Sam put the cash in my hand and got in with his good woman Lil. And I still can recall when I looked down and saw King George V's head on each bill. Now, not long after that, we were back in St. Anthony, waiting to go back across, with a full load of freight and one passenger, and this fellow looked a bit lost. A vacuum cleaner salesman, he turned out to be, a friendly young fellow named Buckle, but they didn't have power back then in the Tickle, so Buckle was into a pickle. Or that's what we thought, and we had a good chuckle, but Buckle was smarter than we. Not long after that, we flew 32 vacuums to the Tickle, or perhaps 33. "Nowden," I say to the captain that day, "that crowd in the Tickle is stunned. They haven't got power, so I'd like to know how are they going to run 'em, off the wind or the sun?" But it turned out that we were the stunned ones, you see, not Buckle or the crowd in the Tickle. Not long after that, the Tickle got power. I look back on it now and I chuckle. But the thing I liked most about flying the coast was the wonderful people who lived there. They didn't complain about waiting and sitting. They knew what it meant to say, weather permitting. They'd help you load up, pump gas if you needed. Sometimes I think they worked harder than we did. And if you're caught for weather in Makovic or Nain or elsewhere in the land they say God gave to Cain, you were always assured of a welcoming stay. Those wonderful memories are with me today. And so there's a few stories from back in the day, and if you were to ask me, I guess I would say that of my 40 years flying, the ones I liked most were the ones I spent flying the Labrador coast.